Very good, very good. So you can hear me sound all well, I think. I'm visible also. Okay, very good. Thank you, children. So yesterday we were discussing about literary devices, that how literary devices are important if you want to write something very nicely, or in order to appreciate poetry, in order to understand any piece of literature. And I explained you uses of simile, metaphor, examples also, repetition, hyperbole. Okay. So today we will also discuss the same. I'm going to explain you some interesting literary devices that you generally read it during while reading a poem, or maybe whenever you are reading a prose piece, any fictitious thing, anywhere. So these literary devices, if you know its meaning, if you know how it is being used, not only you will understand, but also you will use it while writing down something. So let's continue the class. I'm going to start the presentation. Now you can see that there is one interesting literary device on your screen, that is rhyme. Now rhyme. Rhyme is what? It is the repetition of end sounds in two or more words or phrases that appear close to each other in a poem. Now you all know what is rhyme. Basically, you all feel that poems, if you are writing a poem, that means it should be rhythmical. It should have a rhyme scheme. But my dear children, all the time it is not very important to have rhyme scheme. Yeah, I know that rhyme will make the poem musical. No, you will love to sing the poem. If you are reciting the poem, it will be look so it will be so melodious. That's very important. But as I told you yesterday also, that without even rhyme scheme, you can write poems. Okay, and that poems is known as free verse. I quote you an example of Gitanjali also by Rabindranath Tagore, that even though there is no rhyme scheme, but still that poem is so melodious. Okay, but rhyme is very important. So it is, just look here, that rhyme is the repetition of end sounds. Like here, this is an interesting poem. We used to teach this poem in standard 10th few years back. Now see, it is a very interesting poem by S.T. Coleridge. You can say the rhyme scheme. It is an ancient mariner, and he stopped one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stopp'st thou me? See, mariner three, I, me. AABB. Very clear? No problem at all. The bridegroom's doors are open wide. Okay, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set. Mayest hear the merry din. So white is different, but kin and din. Okay, wide and set. So A, B, C, B. In this manner, you can say how beautifully there the poem has a rhythm. Oh, lovely orange, you golden treat. Oh, tell me why aren't you easy to eat? So wherever you see, in most of the poems, you will find out that there is some rhyme, and rhyme is repetition of end sounds, and because of that the poem becomes musical. So it's clear now, no problem. Now let's move to the next, because rhyme, alliteration. Now yesterday somebody asked me that repetition and alliteration, it is same. No, this is different. Why? Because I will tell you. First of all, let me define what is alliteration. Okay, what is alliteration? You can see here, alliteration is the repetition of a sound at beginning of words. Okay, see, write down, note it down. Note it down, children. Don't sit idle. Otherwise, you will forget everything. Alliteration is the repetition of a sound at beginning of words. What does it mean? Alliteration actually makes a specific emphasis on the sound in words. Okay, emphasis. That means, like I would like to simply say that it is very easy to identify alliteration. See, if the first letter of that word is same, okay, and if 2 word, 3 words, minimum 2 and maximum whatever, if the first letter of the word is same, that is known as alliteration. Okay, that is known as alliteration. While repetition engages in repeating the same words or sequence of the words. Okay, so remember it, alliteration, the first letter of the word will be same, whereas in repetition the entire word or the phrase will be repeated again. This is the difference between alliteration and. So now it is clear that if the first letter of the word is same, okay, that is alliteration. And if the word, the entire word is repeated again and again, that is repetition. So this is the difference. Now see, you can see the examples. You all know alliteration is very common in poems, okay, and it is making an specific, emphasis sometimes on sounds of the word also. So that is very important. For example, Coca-Cola, Tiny Tim, Mickey Mouse, C sways, as I told you, C sways in the swings of arm. So alliteration is that. Clear, children? It is clear now? Do you have any question or problem? Then you can ask me. And alliteration as a figure of speech appears in poetry also, prose also, musical lyrics also. Why it is used? It is again used to give rhythm and to help make the sentence more pleasing, more nice, entertaining to your ear. Okay, because if there will be alliteration, the entire piece of work will become more rhythmical. Okay, and that is why poets, they are using it while writing or penning down their poems, their songs. That is, so this is known as alliteration, and it is very easy to identify alliteration. It is most simple form, okay, that if the first letter is same, first letter of consecutive words are same, there is easy to find out alliteration. Clear, children? Let's move to next. Now see, alliteration का ही 2 पार्ट होता है हमारा, assonance and consonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds. Okay, vowel sounds often creates near rhythm as well. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds. But how? At the end or middle of words. It is also. But most of the time, we did not ask class 9 children to specify assonance or consonance. You are only asked to specify alliteration, because even if in your exam, maybe they will give you one sentence and ask you to identify the figure of the speech. Instead of writing consonants or assonance, you will simply write down alliteration. If it is not there, then leave it. So let's move to the next figure of speech, which is very, very interesting. Have you ever heard this literary device? Onomatopoeia. Have you ever heard? How many of you have heard? Come on, raise your hands. And if not, then write it in the chat box. Have you heard about it? सुना है? हाँ, मैंने बताया जरूर है while explaining you the poem Rain on the Roof, Patter, but I am sure that नहीं सुना होगा. It's actually new for you. But I explained. Okay, so Soumya, Zara, Shreya, they all are writing no, ma'am. Now listen, children, this is going to be very interesting literary device. Note it down in your copy and be careful with the spelling. इसे याद ऐसे रखोगे, onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia, poeia, onomatopoeia. No, sounds strange. जैसे इसका sound ही strange है. Basically, onomatopoeia, it is known as sound denoting words. Short में मैं ऐसे बता रही हूँ, it's sound denoting words. That means if through a word, if you feel that a sound is like explained through writing, देखो sound को writing से कैसे explain करेंगे, है ना? जैसे कि मैं अगर कहूँ टिक टॉक, टिक टॉक, टिक टॉक, so you will start imagining the sound. एक इमेजिनेशन शुरू हो जाएगा, जैसे हम लोग ये भी कहते हैं साउंड इमेजरी. यू विल स्टार्ट थिंकिंग अबाउट द साउंड. सो दैट टिकटॉक वर्ड इज एक्चुअली ओनोमाटोपोइया, मतलब द वर्ड विच डिनोट्स साउंड, पिटर पैटर, pitter patter. So that is also onomatopoeia. Okay, that means the word which will give you an idea of sound. Okay, that is onomatopoeia. जैसे अगर तुम लोग hish, okay, hish. So if you write down HIS, that is also onomatopoeia. If you are using and if you are writing something, tek tek, that is onomatopoeia. Examples: pop, crackle, screech, zip, fizz, shrill, muted, grumbling, rumbling, anything, anything, patter, TikTok, whatever. So these all are known. That means the word which will actually help you to imagine sounds, or maybe it will denote sound, that is known as onomatopoeia, sound denoting words. Okay, can you tell me some examples? Write it in the chat box. What is coming in your mind very quickly? Roaring, yes, yes, very good. Anything, something, sound denoting words, anything by which you can imagine a sound. Okay, that is onomatopoeia. Clear? Anything which you would like to ask? Okay, so finally, onomatopoeia is the process, once again I am repeating, is of creating a word that phonetically imitates, resembles, or suggests the sound that is described in that particular piece of word. Meow, mew, mew, okay? That is also a kind of onomatopoeia. Roar, thunder, okay? That is also onomatopoeia. Anything, anything, bang, whir, whiz, whoosh, zing, zap, whip, they all are onomatopoeia. Clear now? Now let's move to oxymoron, one of very interesting, and I would like to tell you very important. Oxymoron, oxymoron, write down OXYMORON. मोरन का तो मीनिंग सबको पता होगा ना, but what is oxymoron? Oxymoron, yes, an oxymoron is a figure of speech in which opposites are paired to create an effect. Okay, basically I say two contradictory idea. Contradictory means opposite, different idea put together. They are known as oxymoron. Oxymoron. Very good, Shivangi. Yeah, very good. Buzz of bees. Who has written whoosh? Shivangi. Yes, this is a very nice example. Then we have, yeah, Divya Rani. Shh, someone is listening to our conversation. Zara, very good. Buzz. So, yeah, children, I'm very happy when you take interest in the class. Genuinely, I'm really happy. That means you are enjoying. Otherwise, what will happen? Lecture method teaching is going on. Nowadays, this online classes, lecture method teaching is going on. And sometimes I have to put you on mute because there is a lot of excessive noises. अच्छा, मैं unmute करती हूँ आप लोगों को. So if you want to say something, it will be quite interesting. So I'm allowing you. Now, if you want to speak, give me some more example of oxymoron. Hmm. Yeah, विष्णु तो ऑक्सीमोरन का ही दे दिया. Okay, first of all, onomatopoeia का examples दे दो. You can unmute yourself and you can speak. Unmute yourself. Okay, you are writing. Very good. Fizz. Yeah, feel the fizz. Okay, so now let's move to, wow, very good. So children are taking interest in the class. Very good. Beam, bang, bash. Okay, doing dong, dong. Ring, ring. Telephone started ringing. Tring, tring. Now this is an onomatopoeia. Okay, very good, children. Now move to the next oxymoron. Yeah, still children are writing their answers. Very good. Whip, whir, whiz, whispering leaves, whoop, whoosh, shap. Okay, fine. Now it's good, good. Let's move to the next figure of speech, oxymoron. So what did I tell you? Two contradictory idea put together. Two different idea put together. No, that means what we are doing, general meaning of this oxymoron is contradiction in terms. And it is very easy to identify. Just say example, The Living Dead. I think you all have seen this zombie movie, The Living Dead. What does it mean? Dead also and living also. Fire and ice. Okay, fire and ice. Oxymoron. That is also oxymoron. Then you have so many examples. Whenever there are two something, the line which is actually telling you, which has two different meaning, okay, and still it is trying to convey something, an idea, that is known as oxymoron. Sweet and sour, sweet and sour, flying fish. Okay, yes. It's clear now, oxymoron. Can you quote some example? Oxymoron. Oxymoron, which is very easy to analyze when you have two different ideas put together. Sweet sorrow. You can see here, parting is such sweet sorrow. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Sweet, how can a sorrow be sweet? But still, Yashra, Aditya Ranjan, you have to say something. Aditya. So, sweet sorrow. Here, what happens? Juliet, if you remember, that parting is such a sweet sorrow. This famous quotation you can see on your screen, this famous quotation from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. You know, you all know about Romeo and Juliet. It contains this famous oxymoron. What happens? Juliet is uttering this phrase, this oxymoron, sweet sorrow, to describe the feeling she has when having to say goodbye to Romeo. When she has to bid a goodbye, it's a love story, you all might be knowing about it. So she uses this sweet sorrow. And you know, when she used this, sweet evokes, romance, emotion, and sorrow. That means less happiness, because now they are going to be parted. They are going to be away from each other. So this is the example of sweet sorrow. Terrible beauty, terribly beautiful she is. How can a person be terribly beautiful? So that is also oxymoron. And some normal examples also I wanted you to find out. Bittersweet, love, hate, I love you like I hate you. So many, then 1 minute, yeah, you people are writing the examples. Silent scream, alone together, approximately equal, leaving dead, pretty ugly, very good, very good. Okay, foolish wisdom, friendly fire, hateful love, honest thief, loud whisper. You can also loud whisper, silent clear. Yes, clearly confused, same different, silent scream, Sweet Misery. Then we have Wakeful Sleep. Now, these are the two ideas: genuine, fake, a small crowd. Yeah, very good. So you got it now, dear children. Alone, together. Very good. All of you are participating. I love Shreya, Zara, Soumya, Vishnu, Prakhar. Very good. Very good, children. So you are taking interest in these classes. So now oxymoron is clear. Is clear. Let's move to the next figure of speech. Refrain. Now, what is the refrain? I told you refrain, repetition, alliteration. They seems very similar, but no, they are not similar. Specifically, children are mostly confused between refrain and repetition. Now, what is refrain? See, a phrase or verse reoccurring at intervals in a song or poem, especially I'm saying at the end of each stanza. Wow, how? See, when you listen, I'm just quoting example of Hindi song. When you listen a Hindi song, you would have heard about Mukhda and Antara. Mukhda means refrain, which is being repeated again and again after a considerable intervals in the song. Okay, and then we have antara. Antara is paragraph, first paragraph, second paragraph. Okay, and then refrain, again and again that same set of lines or one single line is being repeated again and again in that song. So that is refrain. Whereas repetition is that at the same time two words or maybe a phrase is repeated very continuously, but refrain after a clear interval. If that particular line or lines are coming, appearing in the poem or in the stanza, that is refrain. I will tell you one example that we used to teach one poem, The Brook. Okay, you can see if you have a net facility, all of you are having nowadays. So you just go through this poem, The Brook. Okay, and there was one line, men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. This was the line which was again and again coming in that poem. This poem was written by Lord Tennyson. And yes, Sweetwater, genuine. Okay, still you are an oxymoron. I have moved ahead. So what happens if you will see, you can read that poem. I will read that poem for you 1 minute. I'm just trying to find it. This poem is about the brook, the small river. Okay, and this is a wonderful poem, great philosophical poem by Lord Tennyson. We used to teach in standard 9. Okay, where you will see that after a considerable intervals, this line, this refrain will come that men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. You can find this poem and please do read it. You will find out that how nicely Tennyson is trying to create this effect. And in the same poem, the use of onomatopoeia is so nicely presented when he is using the musical quality of brook. I still remember the word babble, chatters, murmurs. So they all are actually giving you an idea of onomatopoeia, and most importantly, the refrain. They say when the poet says, I come from haunts of coot and horn, I make a sudden sally and sparkle out among the fern to bicker down a valley. Then again, after that, oh, 30 hills I hurry down, or slip between the ridges, or 20 thops or little town, ebb half a hundred bridges. Till last by Philip's farm I flew to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Again, I chatter over stony ways in little sharps and trebles. I bubble into eddying bays. I babble on the pebbles. With many a curve my banks I fret, by many a field and fallow, and many a fairy fallen set with willow, weed, and mallow. I chatter, chatter, onomatopoeia, as I flow to join the brimming river. For men may come and men may go, but I go on forever. Okay, so this is known as refrain. You know how nicely, and in most of the Hindi songs, you will find out refrain. Okay, poems also, Hindi poems also, you will find out refrain. It's very common. It is very common if you are listening any of the Hindi songs. Clear? All you need is love, love is all you need. The Beatles. You all know that is very important. Now, rhythm I have already clear. Style, couplet. Now, enjambment. Now, this is also nowadays very famous. Okay, we have very little time left. So, tomorrow I will also continue with some more interesting literary devices. Till then, I want all of you to find out some more examples. It's very important to find out examples because, and to read some interesting poems based on these literary devices. Then only you will be able to actually identify. And after identifying that particular thing, you will be able to use it while writing a poem, while writing any piece of work. Okay, children? So I hope you all would have understood